Hello everybody, this is Mike1217, welcoming you to my next Let's Play, The Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap, and I'm not going to waste too much time here. I'm going to start my file right away. And this is a game that I decided to do kind of on the spot. I was originally going to do a 3-heart playthrough of Twilight Princess after Super Mario Galaxy 2 was over, but I decided, this game is pretty short, and this would be a good time to do it, so I'm doing this game first. I will do Twilight Princess after this, though, so you already know what my next Let's Play is going to be. But for right now, we're going to focus on this game. My new file is going to be called Mike. You can see that's my original one, the one when my first playthrough of the game. Completely done. Well, not completely done, there's a couple of heart containers that I don't have, but let's get started on this. And there's an intro story right away, and I'm not going to talk over it, so you can just enjoy that, and here we go. A short intro story, but still a good one. Yeah, I decided not to read that because if you've watched my previous Let's Plays, you'll know that reading the text isn't exactly my strong point. It never really has been for really anything. I remember back in school, whenever we'd read textbooks aloud in class, and we'd go one classmate at a time, reading like one paragraph at a time. And what I'd always do, because I was so bad at reading the text, is I'd count how many kids were in front of me to read, and then I'd count how many paragraphs we'd have, because there would be one paragraph per kid. And then I'd find which one would be mine, and then I'd memorize it, and then once it's my turn, I'd try to just read what I memorized. I don't know what it is about, I don't know, I'm just better at reciting things by memory than reciting things by reading it directly. Like, if I was a news anchor, then I probably wouldn't use the teleprompter, I'd just memorize it. So yeah, I'm not going to be reading a whole lot of text in this game. I might kind of mumble it a little bit, just kind of, bring attention to it, but that's pretty much it. But right away, we are taking into our story phase of the game. This first video is mostly just going to be story. So, if you're watching this Let's Play and you want to kind of keep into the story, then you're going to get the main gist of it in this first video. They don't really develop the story as the game goes along. So yeah, it all comes together here at the beginning of the game. Which is something that happens a lot in Zelda games. Sometimes they develop as they go, but other times they just kind of, they introduce the story, and then there might be like a couple plot twists in the middle, but they don't really develop their stories that much throughout the games. Something I'd like to see them do more in future Zelda games is focus a little more on the story. Apparently Skyward Sword's not going to do that, which is kind of disappointing, but oh well. I mean, I can understand they focused more on the controls for that game. But I would like a Zelda game with a more engaging story. There are some pretty good ones, like Majora's Mask has a good story, Wind Waker's is pretty good, I kind of like Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time is okay. This game is mediocre as far as story goes, but this game in general is fantastic. I just did a recent playthrough of this. Once I decided to actually do the Let's Play, I did a almost playthrough. I actually played through like 75% of the game. But I've come to realize that this is probably in my top 5 favorite Zelda games. Which is saying a lot because of how many there are, and the company this game is with. And we have a chest right here that gives us 20 rupees, so that's cool. And, you know, I might as well do this right now. I'm going to list off my top 5 Zelda games for the moment. This list actually changes quite a bit, even like the top spot. Like, you know, for a lot of people with their top games lists, like, the one thing that never changes is the top spot. But for me, it changes a lot. So right now, as I'm recording this video, my top 5 Zelda games are, number 1, A Link to the Past. Number 2, Majora's Mask. Number 3, Ocarina of Time. And number 4 is Link's Awakening, and this game, the Minish Cap, is number 5. This is, by the way, a Game Boy Advance game, the only main Zelda game on the GBA. There's also kind of 4 Swords Adventures, and there's a remake of the original Zelda. I believe there's also a remake, well, not really a remake, but kind of a port of the original Zelda, as well as a port of A Link to the Past on GBA, I think. I'm not 100% sure. This is like the GBA's main Zelda title, and I'm actually playing this on my GameCube. I have the GBA player that attaches to your GameCube, so you know, I decided to do it that way instead of just using an emulator, because I like doing it the legit way. So right away, we're taken into this town. Zelda's a little bit happy-go-lucky in this game. She's kind of running around this festival looking at all sorts of things. She's really excited. She's supposedly supposed to be kind of like this in Skyward Sword. She's supposed to be kind of happy-go-lucky and energetic. That's how I kind of like Zelda. I like her more like that, with more of a character to her, aside from the kind of bland, papery... I don't know if papery is the right word, kind of bland characterization she has in, like, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. I really like her character here, even though you don't really see her that much. But, also Spirit Tracks, I kind of like her. Oh, well, she's a little bit too cartoony in Spirit Tracks. So, they actually take it a little bit too far there, but I like how it's coming out with, how she's kind of coming out in Skyward Sword to be more of a energetic character. It makes her, you know, to me, that makes her more likable, and therefore, you know, of course she's going to get captured, or something bad's going to happen to her. Spoilers, spoilers. We all know it's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen to Zelda, so, you know, her being a more likable character just makes it more powerful to go and save her from whatever is, you know, to whatever captures her, or whatever happens to her, so... That's something I'm looking forward to in Skyward Sword, is the characterization of Zelda, who isn't going to be a princess in that game. She is a princess in this game, though, traditionally. And there are 3 items there. There's a heart container, a big rupee, and a shield. I would have taken the heart container, personally, but apparently she wanted the shield, so there we go. We got the small shield. That's our first item in the game. And the way the items work in this game is you assign all of them to buttons. They don't work how they do in the 3D games and some of the 2D ones, where they're like the sword and shield are automatically assigned to a button. Like, you know how in the 3D games the sword's always assigned to B and the shield's always assigned to R or Z or something. In this game, the shield is assigned to a button, and it's not really that useful. I'm probably not going to be using it that much. Really, the only point in the game where it's useful is this very first part. There are going to be some rooms where there are some enemies that are tough to avoid that I may use a shield for, but other than that, it isn't that useful. This is the only part in the game where it's, you know, where you have to use it. We have a business scrub, a Deku scrub, which I believe, I'm pretty sure this is the only 2D Zelda game where Deku shrubs actually show up. Otherwise, I think they're only in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and that's pretty much it. You might see some variations of them in other Zelda games. Like, they're very much based off of Octoroks, really. So, yeah, you'll be seeing these guys a lot in this game. They kind of serve the same purpose as they do in... Oh, is it Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time where they serve this purpose? I think both games, they serve the purpose of business scrub, where you find them in certain areas and then you have to knock their Deku nuts back at them and then they'll sell you something. That is how they work in this game, actually. You'll find them in caves and then you You do your thing, you knock them back, you knock their nuts back at them. That sounded disgusting, but just go with it. And then you just buy something from them, which can be useful at times, especially for bombs later on. So that's typically what I use them for if I really need to refill on something. So let's keep on going up here to this castle and see what has awaiting us. What has awaiting us? That's a great way to say this. This guy, I believe, this guy's voice clip is the same as the postman from Majora's Mask. He sounds a lot like him. He kind of reminds me of Professor Egad from the no, well, not really. He reminds me of a character from the Mario series. Kind of looks like Professor Egad. But I like his voice. I like the voice clips done in this game. You're gonna notice a lot of things in this game remind you of the 3D Zeldas, and this is the main reason why I really like this game, is because it kind of blurs the lines between the 2D games and the 3D games. Like, I mean, obviously it's a 2D game, so there's gonna be a lot of elements from the 2D games, like as far as gameplay goes, that you'll come across, but there's also a lot of stuff from the 3D games as well that you'll notice as far as gameplay and just design of the overworld. So really, this is why I think this is one of the best Zelda games, is because if you're a fan of the originals, like the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, A Link to the Past, and Link's Awakening, the old school Zeldas, and if you're a fan of the modern ones like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, you know, this game kind of has a little bit of both of those in it, and it blurs the line. So I really think this is good for fans of the originals, of the older games, and for fans of the modern games. Which is why I think this game needs more attention, it needs more love. I mean, I would mention it among the best. I think this is one of the best Zelda games. It's wonderful, and after doing a recent playthrough, just, you know, seeing the design of this game, seeing the awesome design of the puzzles, and it's a fantastic game. If you're a fan of the Zelda series, even like a minor fan of it, pick this game up. This is a must-have. Unless, I mean, I understand if you don't have a GameCube or a way to play it, if you don't have a Game Boy Advance, DS, or whatever can play this game. But if you do have any kind of systems like that, get this game. It's a must-have if you're a fan of the Zelda series. And this is our main enemy right here. His name is Vaati, a really cool Zelda enemy. I would like to see him in more games. I believe, where else do you see Vaati? Don't you see Vaati in Four Swords? I haven't played the Zelda games I haven't played, in case you're wondering, are the Oracle games, Oracle Seasons and Oracle Ages, and Four Swords Adventures. Those are the only Zelda games I haven't played, like, at all. The ones I haven't beaten are the originals, Zelda on the NES and Zelda 2. Those are the only Zelda games I haven't actually beaten. CDI games don't count, and what the hell is going on here? Apparently, Zelda has been turned into stone. This is the main... I guess this is the big thing that happens to Zelda, so that's really all we see of Zelda in this game. She's turned into stone pretty quickly, so... yeah, like right away, Zelda's gone. So, we're gonna have to figure out how to unstone Zelda, which I'm sure you can come up with some nice 420 jokes or anything like that for that. Because Zelda's all stoned, ha ha ha, lol, raffle my copter. So apparently there's nothing in this chest for Vaati, so I guess he's out of luck. And we have a broken sword over there. We'll figure out what that's all about pretty soon. And we're apparently asleep in a room here. Are we in 1955? Is this what's going on? Okay, let's get out of this. So we can actually talk to this chick. By the way, we don't have a hat. Why do we not have a hat? Isn't Link supposed to have a hat? Well, we'll find out more about that later. I mean, this is the Minish Cap after all. There's supposed to be a cap in the game. Let's just go over to this room and see what's going on. Here's King Daphnes, I believe that's what his name is. That's what his name is supposed to be. This is one of the few games where you see the King of Hyrule. Other games he's just kind of mentioned sometimes, but this is one of the few games you actually see the king. But I don't know if to give you his name. I wasn't paying too much attention. His name's supposed to be King of Daphne's Hyrule. His last name's Hyrule, which is obviously why the world's called Hyrule, which is where this game takes place, like most Zelda games. Just about every Zelda game takes place in Hyrule. As far as like where this game takes place in the timeline, I'm not. By the way, I'm not a big timeline theorist, so don't ask me what my theory is of the Zelda timeline. I have a few little ideas. But this game is supposedly supposed to take place at the very beginning of the Zelda timeline, because there isn't much mention of the Triforce in this game. There are some images of it, but they don't really talk about it. But yeah, from what I've heard from other timeline theorists, and just kind of what I gather from the story itself, this is supposed to take place more near the beginning of the timeline. I'm not sure if Nintendo has announced it. Again, Nintendo's very vague about where certain games take place in the timeline. They have like mentioned some things, like they mentioned that Skyward Sword is supposed to come after Ocarina of Time, but others it's pretty unclear where they take place. I don't think they actually said anything about this game though, where it takes place, but it's widely accepted that this game takes place at the beginning of the timeline. So, you know, if you're a big Zelda timeline theorist and you really don't know much about this game, then you might want to pay attention to this. I personally don't pay too much attention to this game's story because, again, I don't think it's that good of a story. It never really grabbed me. But then again, the 2D Zelda's never really grabbed me as far as story goes because, you know, you can't really do much with the cinematics as you can in 3D games. So I know more about the 3D games as far as story goes than I do about the 2D ones. But again, it doesn't really develop that much as we go. So they're talking about these Picori people, and they know how to create a new sacred sword, so that's kind of our big objective, is to get a sacred Picori sword. So we need to find out what to do about this broken Picori blade. This part of the sword needed to reforge the sacred sword. Do not lose it. Okay, we will not lose it. And we also got the Smith sword, which, you know, when we first got that sword holder from the dude in your house, I don't know who that dude in your house is at the beginning of the game. I don't think he's your uncle. He could be your uncle. I don't know. I might have to look that up later. But you get like a sword holder there, and at first I thought that's where you get the sword, but no, because you get your first sword right here. Alright, so the king is talking about the Minish Woods. That's where we find these Picori people, and they're gonna also give us a map, so we'll be able to find out how to get to the Minish Woods. So yeah, the tongue is how to use it. And I'll go over basic controls and stuff in the next video. I'm gonna end this off pretty soon. Get the map of Hyrule. So yeah, all this video really was just introductory, introducing us to the story and getting us an idea of what is going on in the game. And there's our map. You can see some empty spaces there that we'll be filling out later as we explore. And right down the middle is Hyrule Field, the main field area of the game. This is a very explorable game, as you'll see. I'll kind of go into it more later, but I'm going to end this first episode off right here. In the next episode of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap, we will make our way to the Minish Woods. So, this is Mike1217, and I will see you then. Peace.